Okay. Hello, everybody. Excuse me. One sec. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Forever Conscious Research Channel. I hope you are doing well on this Sunday. It's the evening for me, so whatever day or time you may be listening to this, welcome. And again, I want to thank everybody for deciding to spend some time with me and together in the chat. You guys are always great and keep the conversation moving. And there's all sorts of great input that you guys put out there. So thank you again for that. So tonight's episode is going to be Love Deception episode number 3. Now, this is going to be a compilation of different NDEs that talk about specifically love, and it has quite a bit going on inside of it. The video itself, without commentary, is about an hour and 10 minutes, about an hour and 5 minutes. So, just to let you know, that's not including my commentary, but we're going to try and get through it as quickly as we can. There's a heck of a lot of just mind-blowing examples. Even have one who says, love was possessing me. And just like I put in the description, for anyone who was here in August and saw Tony's NDE, the guy who got struck by lightning and ended up turning into a concert pianist, he used possession in his thing too. It's like, oh, like I was possessed. So just wanted to point that out. And so let's get into it. Just so you guys know, I'm going to need to be concentrating a lot on this one, so I won't really be in the chat until afterwards, but we'll have a discussion later on after we complete this presentation. So let's get to it. And if you don't mind, I think the sound's okay, but if you could just let me know if the video sounds okay with my mic, that would be great. I'd appreciate it. So here we go. Let me get this going.
Felt like I was in this void or in outer space. It didn't feel scary, but it was black. Then I immediately felt myself go into the tunnel. And it was very black, very dark in the tunnel. I wasn't scared.
So it went from void to the black tunnel.
At all. I was moving very fast. It was exciting and it felt exhilarating. The tunnel ride was very quick and I popped right out of the tunnel and I was immediately in the white light. The light was so bright and beautiful and powerful that it took me a minute to adjust and understand what was going on there too. As soon as I started to settle into it, I understood that it was heaven.
As soon as I popped into it, I understood that it was heaven. So immediately, she's of a realization inside of her that this is heaven.
As soon as I started to settle into it, I understood that it was heaven. I started to feel the light more and feel the energy of what that was, and
started to feel it more.
I immediately felt this overwhelming sense of unconditional love. Love like I have never felt before.
Now, if you've listened to near-death experiences, this is such a common data point that it's not even funny. So this is a really, really important one. You know, more love than I have ever felt in my life. And again, when we hear mothers talk about it, it's just mind-blowing.
No matter what I had been through in my life, no matter what I had done, it was just complete love for me. I was bathing in it. It was wrapped around me, and it made...
I like how she uses the term, it was wrapped around me. wrapped around me. That's like a implication of control. Let's just call it what it is.
Me feel valued, appreciated, and
Now, see, it's. I mean, I know I'm stopping it a lot, but it made her feel valued, appreciated. You know, it's giving her this comfort, this false comfort, but in her experience, it's real.
I was bathing in it. It was wrapped around me, and it made me feel valued, appreciated, and accepted. The next thing I felt was an overwhelming sense of peace, that everything was okay and that everything was right, that all was well.
Okay, so it's an overwhelming feeling that everything was right. It was peace. That's a energy she's receiving, okay? Feeling. She's using the term feeling. That means she is receiving this. It's not from her, it's coming into her. Remember, she's wrapped around it.
I was getting a healing. I started to notice all the areas in my soul or in my energetic space where there were wounds or there were holes, and all of those areas were starting to get filled in, and they were getting filled in with love. I was being replenished.
Okay, so the translation I can give you for this is that some of the negative things that she had holes in were being replenished and taken over by the light, the love bomb.
And it was the best feeling. It just made me feel like this is who I am. This is who I'm supposed to be.
You could see tears in her eyes.
This is what my soul is all about. And as that was happening, I was also getting the sense that this white light that was all around me, that was taking such loving care of me, that I am that white light. I'm not separate from it. I just had the illusion that I had always been separate from it.
Interesting choice of words, right? It's only the illusion of separation. So it's, again, this familiarity that starts to kick in when we go back and experience something like this. It's kind of like we talk about with the astral realm having similar, not exact, but similar scenery to Earth. It's the continuity of familiarity to it's a really great manipulation tactic because it feels like home to her. It feels like where she should be. It feels like this should be her natural state all the time. And she was just on vacation on Earth, that's all.
And so while I was a part of it, I really sensed that separation being healed as well. I knew that I was dead. I knew that my physical body was no longer working and that I was no longer a part of it. And I was fine with it. It didn't scare me. It just felt like this is how it's meant to be. And it almost started feeling like my life was becoming a distant memory.
How about that try that on for size. My life was becoming a distant memory. Now, remember the examples of us getting knowledge from outside sources about the light being the memory wiping device. There aren't a ton, but there's enough out there. And, we're piecing it together. It's obvious that the white light is the mechanism for the memory wiping of us. Okay? Let's hear this again.
Meant to be. And it almost started feeling like my life was becoming a distant memory. And it felt so much like home to be in that light that there was no other place I wanted to be at that point. There's no place that feels as good as that light feels.
No place that feels better. No place that feels as good as the light.
People need to get out there and help people understand that there's nothing to fear about. At least this is my perception of things, and I'm not saying that I'm right, but my experience was from a car wreck in the 70s, and I left my body and flew through what felt like a tunnel of lights just flying at me, and then I just emerged into this world of brilliant white light in a place that was nothing but love. That's the only way that can describe it, just a complete feeling of love.
Nothing but love. Nothing but a love train.
And I stood before a being of light that did nothing but love me, was capable of only loving me. And
Sorry. A being of light, okay, that stood before her, was only capable of emitting love.
I watched my life, I had a complete feeling of love, and I stood before a being of light that did nothing but love me, was capable of only loving me. And I watched my life, I saw my life review, and I'm the one that condemned myself and criticized myself in the sense that I just wanted to do better, to be in.
Now, mark my words. She is self-condemning. Again, it's the guilt trip. Trust me, she was probably shown images of things she may have done wrong, no matter how small or how big. It's whatever the system also deems as right or wrong. And she is basically condemning herself. It was within me. It was in me.
My life review, and I'm the one that condemned myself and criticized myself in the sense that I just wanted to do better, to be in this place and to be in this presence of this light that just unconditionally loved me, made me want to treat people better, and made me want to love myself. I think I was no different than a lot of people that are always criticizing themselves or feeling guilty about things. That's the way that I was raised. That's the religion that I was raised in, that, God was someone to be feared and that I would be judged, so I needed to walk a straight line.
Catch that? Catch that? She just gave herself away. Because remember, before she grew up in this one system, a belief system, and we're talking about how the belief systems are always the driving force for how your experience will be rolled out. Remember, it's always customized to the belief system the person has. So, what does she say? She says in one breath, she was the one that was self-condemning herself. Sorry. You get what I'm saying. Self-condemnation, okay? But in the next breath, she's giving us some insight to her belief system that she had. The judging God. The one that's going to, got to stand before the jury. So I think it's a really, really interesting correlation. She's subconsciously telling us this, but she's saying it in her own words, obviously. So it's a really, really interesting part of this testimony.
About things, that's the way that I was raised. That's the religion that I was raised in. God was someone to be feared and that I would be judged, so I needed to walk a straight line. And it was so different than that. I was loved unconditionally, and all I wanted to do was come back and do better and love people and learn how to love and forgive and be a better person and have something better to offer. And all of the things that I was taught all of my life about the way that religion was, or the way that God is through my religion, it wasn't true for me in that experience. So I
wasn't true for her in that experience. But there was one segment. She says she, was judging herself. But remember, she had the belief system prior to going into this experience. Can't be stated enough.
came back with a real thirst to find the truth and find knowledge. Those were the two words that I woke up with that just, I heard them over and over and over, the importance of finding truth and seeking knowledge. So that's what my life has been about, trying to figure out what it is all about. And I'm open to anything. I would listen to anybody, read anything. I just want to find the truth in everything.
I'd love to talk to her. I would. But it's kind of tough when, someone has a near-death experience like this, and that's why I've said before, and be thankful, guys, that you haven't had this this love bomb near-death experience. I can't imagine how we've seen how much of a driving force it is in people's lives when they have one. But she says she's open to things, so it'd be interesting to try and talk to her.
But the one thing that I feel like I cannot go wrong with is loving people. And no matter how hard that can be to do at times, it can be really challenging and difficult, then I still have to go to that place where I felt that unconditional love coming from God and try to get that feeling in my heart and then send that out to other people.
Others who have had NDEs talk about the incredible, indescribable, unconditional love that they existed within when they were out of their bodies. And I experienced the same thing, but for me the phrase unconditional love, it doesn't work very well for me. For one thing, unconditional is a condition, and I'm very literal. And aside from that, the word love in the English language is pretty sloppy. We love everything from French fries to our mothers. So I'm going to try to...
Now remember, you can also love to hate. Your loved one, could get murdered. You love them, and at the same time, you're going to maybe go out and take them out because they messed with your loved one.
Describe this feeling using different words. In this non-physical state of being, there's a profound sense of belonging. Everything about everyone that exists is not only accepted, but admired, respected, recognized, and celebrated. There's a cooperative co-passion for being that permeates everything that I experienced. Everything there is effortless. It is just so easy. It's blissful, and it's filled with a joy that is so fundamental, it's only really remarkable from outside of that state of being.
Only from that outside of the being.
So imagine that everything you have ever thought, imagined, experienced, dreamed, or created was recognized to be valuable. To you, yourself, and to everyone else, to all that exists.
To me, the light was just pure love. It's just that, it's like you're part of it. It's this unconditional, pure love.
It's like you're part of it. Unconditional. Now you're going to hear her describe like you would, anyone who experiences the love bomb with the light. She's just can't even put it into words.
But if you were sick, now I was sick, I did not have that experience of it feeling like it actually healed me. It was just this overwhelming, unconditional love that it's so overwhelming that you can't really, I don't even know what to compare it to, because the love is so submerging on all, like every cell in your body.
Submerging. It's so submerging, like every cell in your body. Submerging. What did we hear with the first case? We heard, love is engulfing her. covering every bit of her, or whatever the word she used.
Submerging on all, like every cell in your body level. It's like you are love. It's like you're part of it. You're
part of it.
You can't even imagine what it's like. How could I, thinking of my life before, if somebody told me this, because I was such an atheist and scientific, I would be, it's just dreams or just something that happened in their brain. But that experience is very transformative in itself, because it's just unconditional love and acceptance of who you are. It's that we are all loved. We all come from this.
No, we don't. We don't. I'm sorry. Because there are hell-like near-death experiences, too. So we can't discount those and just say, oh, those are nothing. The problem is the near-death experiencer, I guess we call it community, or, yeah, the community, near-death experiencer community, tends to focus more on the love, light, rainbows, and unicorns NDEs, and the people who have the hell-like NDEs are really, they come out of those things like lost. So, and we'll continue on, but you get what I'm saying. It's at least maybe you do. I don't want to put words or thoughts in people's heads or mouths. So.
We are love. We've just forgotten, because we're having this human experience.
We've just forgotten. We've just forgotten.
We've just forgotten, because we're having this human experience.
As I started floating above my body, I noticed I was in a tunnel, and I started going towards a light. And that light was the most brilliant light, multiplied thousands of times stronger than what the sun was. And I was being pulled towards that.
I was being pulled towards it. Pulled.
And I was being pulled towards that. And I kept going and kept going and kept going.
I kept going and going and going. She's consenting and consenting and consenting.
The closer I got, the more intense the feeling of love that was possessing me. It was pushing in on me. It was almost suffocating me. It was so tight. And
it was almost suffocating. The love was so tight. See how they just get you. It's like once you go down Love Bomb Highway Tunnel, Route 44, Route 99, Route 66, or whatever the hell that is, it's they put it all out there. I mean, you're stuck. That's why you don't want to get to the point where you're going to allow this to even be a possibility when you leave here. That's the important part. You can't allow this to even happen to you.
Of love that was possessing me. It was pushing in on me. It was almost suffocating me. It was so tight. And when I got to the light, the love was so incredible. The acceptance, the forgiveness. There was pure knowledge. I knew everything.
Okay. How many of these do we hear where, oh, I was pure knowledge. I knew the answer to every question. I knew everything. They come back and they don't remember what the hell happened. They don't remember the answers to the big questions in life. They'll tell you that they received them. And even some of them will say that they were told that, look, we have to, erase this memory that you have of this portion or portions of this experience that you had with us. Because, for example, which I'll be showing in another video, how they'll say, oh, well, we had to erase your memories because it would interfere with your free will. It would interfere. Okay, so something is going to potentially interfere with your free will, but you're having this whole experience, and granted you're consenting each step of the way, but why can't you take the information back? Why is this option even put out there? You should be able to make a decision. Do you want to take it back with you or do you not? But no, you're being told, no, you can't take it back. Not allowed. Stay in your lane. We're the boss. You're the experiencer and victim, and you're going to do as we're told. I know I kind of went off on a tangent, but...
The acceptance, the forgiveness... There was pure knowledge. I knew everything. And I knew everything was going to be okay.
I did become aware of a point of white light. Intense, brilliant, gajillion times brighter than the sun. A little point of white light. And it was absolutely beautiful. It was alive. It was like breathing, and somehow I knew I had to go there. I don't know how I knew that, but I knew I had to go there. And remember, I didn't know that I had died. I didn't remember the accident, and I still was trying to figure out what was happening. But I knew I had to go toward the light, and as I approached the light, it got bigger and more intense, and more beautiful, and more loving, and it sucked me in.
It sucked me in. It got more intense and more beautiful, and whoosh. Just so you know, I have to edit the audio levels here and there.
And absorbed me, and I became the light, and the light became me. I was the white light. And a lot of experiencers talk about love, about this being a place of love. And I've tried to think of adjectives to describe the intensity of this love, unconditional, pure, powerful. The only one that I can think of that works is infinite. It was infinite. It helps me to close my eyes sometimes, so forgive me, but I can go right there. It was infinite love. If you can imagine your baby that you loved, imagine like the most intense feeling of love you've ever had.
Imagine the most intense feeling of love you've ever had. So again, down here, you'll hear this time and time again from near-death experiences. It's the most love I've ever felt in my life. The best love ever. And words can't describe the amount of love that I had or I experienced. I point out when mothers say that it's more powerful times 100 or 1,000 than the birth of their own children. Or people say the day they got married. This is the type of heavy-duty manipulation we're talking about. This is not some fly-by-night operation. This is something that sucks you in and makes it near impossible for you to sneak your way out of. I think once you get to that point, you're done. So, Goober Bear, no going to the life review, bro. You know I love you. Don't go there. Don't do it, bro.
Your mother or your dog, whatever it is. Imagine that. Infinite. no end. So powerful and so absorbing. Wave after wave after wave.
So is that's energy. Energy wave. Blasting you with energy waves of love. Woo, woo, woo. Just sucking you in.
Cleansing white love. Wash.
Cleansing. We heard cleansing in the other near-death experience earlier in this video. I was being cleansed. I was being hold up, or whatever her word was. I think she used re-cleansed or cleansed.
Wave after wave of cleansing white love washing over me. And I was the light. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. I was told very clearly what our purpose is, and your purpose is to love. It's that simple. Hard to pull off cleanly, but you are here to love. And I'm not just talking about the warm fuzzies. Most people, when you say the word love, they think warm fuzzies. Love is a far more multi-dimensional, complex thing than just the warm fuzzies. It's very obvious. Everything is made out of love.
It's obvious. Everything's made out of love. There's not one negative bone in the whole universe when it comes over there.
Everything is made out of love. Made out of it. Like, this is love. This is an expression of God's love. And if you don't like the word God, use whatever word you want.
Okay, sorry, I just have to lower the audio, otherwise it's gonna blast in your face. There we go.
I moved into what appeared to be a sea of light. It was as if every atom or molecule in this room had been electrified with love, with creative and very powerful love. We think of love as being something not powerful, but...
Oh, I like that, right? Creative and very powerful. Powerful. That means something has the ability to hold power over you. Somebody is a powerful person, then you are going to think twice before messing with it, right? Well, something is going to have power over you if you go to the white light. Go to the tunnel. Don't do it.
With creative and very powerful love. We think of love as being something not powerful, but this love, I realized, was the greatest force of all things. And it was as if every atom were an individual and were singing and was welcoming me and was full of love.
Singing, welcoming her. Yeah, I'd like to do a whole video on the singing and music. Some of these people here. It's a really interesting topic in and of itself. Let me just rewind that really quick.
And it was as if every atom were an individual and were singing and was welcoming me.
Welcoming me. How many times we talked about on the channel about people who have near-death experiences and they feel like they're being cheered on and welcomed by all sorts of beings. For instance, I bring up the one that comes up where where they enter like a stadium and they have 360-degree vision of different moments in their life, and everyone in the stadium, huge stadium, we're talking about the 80,000 seater stadiums, big stadiums, and they're just cheering them on. Yeah, you made it, you did good, all right, now let's go to the life review, all right, let's guilt trip you, step right up. This is what we're dealing with. She's being cheered on.
Individual and were singing and was welcoming me and was full of love. And yet I was more and more attracted to what I perceived to be the center of this sea of light. It was as if in the center of this sea there was a sun. And my heart was just irresistibly attracted to that. And again, in an instant, with a tremendous clash, not clash, but in a tremendous and magnificent instant, I entered this center of the sea of light, this sun in the sea, the light, the heart of the light. And it was as if I were devastated. It was as if I were, just spider silk in the solar wind. I was completely devastated by bliss and by rapture. And
I was completely devastated by bliss and rapture. Completely devastated by bliss and rapture. See, it's like you have to deconstruct the words that some of these people say, because they slip up. They throw truths out there, and after a while, you pick up on it. And I'm just telling you guys, when you're listening to these NDEs, rewind, go back. If they say something that kind of sounds a little weird, rewind a couple times. It's in your best interest to be able to prove the Matrix reincarnation soul trap to yourself. I promise you, it will reward you by just being more diligent.
By ecstasy, and yet I was not. I was simply in of, and because of that light, and yet I was, as an individual, destroyed. It was as if I were the quintessential phoenix.
I was destroyed. Quintessential phoenix. I was destroyed. So, what happened to her?
That I was, as an individual, destroyed. It was as if I were the quintessential phoenix.
All of a sudden, I was in a different place. I was in the beautiful, beautiful light that is hard to even describe because we just don't have the words. You can't describe a sunset or a rainbow. We don't have the words to describe love. That was the kind of light that I saw, and it just embraced me. And it was so peaceful. I think it was just...
And what did she say? She said, the light embraced me. Now, how many examples have we had of that so far? The light embraced me. She's using specific words, as have the others, to explain that this entity, this mechanism that's at play, is all up in it. It's taken over her.
Because we just don't have the words. You can't describe a sunset.
We don't have the words to explain how powerful the love is.
Beautiful, beautiful light that is hard to even describe because we just don't have the words. You can't describe a sunset or a rainbow. We don't have the words to describe love. That was the kind of light that I saw, and it just embraced me. And it was so peaceful. I think it was just a place of pure love. And then an image appeared, and it got closer and closer to me, and I felt very comfortable, very at home. And I looked and saw that it was my mom, and she was very young and beautiful, as she always was, and very embracing and loving. And I wanted to be in her arms, but she put her hands up like a stop sign. And she said, "You know that you are loved. You know you are love, but you can't stay here now."
Access denied. Access denied. I'm going to rewind this.
And I wanted to be in her arms, but she put her hands up like a stop sign.
Not allowed.
And she said, "You know that you are loved. You know you are love, but you can't stay here now. It's not your time." And I was didn't even know what that meant, but before I knew it, I was whooshed right back into my body.
Sorry about that. The volume levels are off here. I'm trying to not blow your eardrums out, guys.
Before I knew it, I was whooshed right back into my body.
It is a very crisp ultra reality. This is all about those lessons that we're here to learn. And the coin of that realm is love. That unconditional love that goes far beyond the phrase, far beyond those words.
Lessons to learn. Earth is not a school. That has to be said. It's not a school. It's something we consented to come and experience, and as a result, have lost ourselves along the way.
And the coin of that realm is love. That unconditional love that goes far beyond the phrase, far beyond those words. And of course, so many who have had near-death experiences and shared death experiences and other similarly spiritually transformative experiences know exactly what that's all about, that unconditional love. And the reason it's so important for all of us to get is because we're here in Soul School to learn those lessons of that love.
No, we're not. We're not in Soul School. The only lesson to learn here, well, there's a few lessons. The only lesson to learn is first that you need to figure out how to escape and that this place is a trap. And the second lesson is that, and this is the lesson that we will take with us forever going forward. Remember, there's positive things in this. I know, this is not a fun topic for all of us, okay? And trust me, I have a lot of compassion and empathy for everyone listening and for anyone who's come to this realization. It's not easy. But remember, there is a lesson out of this. Not just that we have to learn our way out, but also that if we decide to mix it up and go visit other realms in the future, we cannot, we cannot offer our true spirit essence, not even 0.0001%, in exchange for an experience, because that's what we did. We offered to give up gigantic, unimaginable portions of ourselves in exchange to have this experience, and along the way we got lost. So trust me, friends, or don't trust me, but we have learned a lesson that will take us for infinity, that we do not have to give ourselves away in exchange for an experience. And if that's a precondition for entering another realm, then don't do it. Otherwise, this is the result. Being here is the result. Being in the attached astral subrealms of control is the result. Do you want to go through this again? I don't.
And what we find is that unconditional love has infinite power to heal. And I came from my journey to see that the hardships and difficulties in this life, and I promise you as a neurosurgeon, as a doctor, that very much includes illness and injury. They are gifts. They are opportunity for growth of our souls. We are all here as members of soul groups to do this growing. And when I talk about soul mates, I'm not just talking about that love of your life. I also came to see that often those who I had seen before my coma as my nemesis.
Okay, soul groups. Soul groups are part of our attachments, okay? This is a really important thing to take away. If you've listened to my two multi-part series on Michael Newton's past life regression books, Destiny of Souls, Journey of Souls, you'll see that the soul groups that we're involved with, we bounce off one another. We get, we have relationships with people. Most of them are, ones you've been with for many lifetimes. Parents, close friends, other family members, lovers, all those things. It's not like you shouldn't enjoy those while you're here. I don't want to be Mr. Downer. But the point is those things are involved with us continuing to be trapped here, to continue to be lost and not regain ourselves fully. So the soul group is not a good thing. It's not. And there's whole indoctrination sessions that go with the soul classes, and there's we're cut off from some of that information, which is really, really interesting of itself. Past life regressions reveal a lot of stuff. But the one thing we have very little access to in those past life regressions are the soul classes. What the hell is going on in those things? It's like we can only chip away at a little bit of it, and we're missing something. Because you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and just say that those are indoctrination classes in the astral. I mean, Christ, they talk about how they're set up like classrooms, like a regular school. If that's not something to be concerned about, I don't know what is. Again, enjoy the relationships while you're here, my friends. But don't let them carry over into your death.
Mates, I'm not just talking about that love of your life. I also came to see that often those who I had seen before my coma as my nemesis, as someone who was in my way, preventing me from getting something I wanted in this life, often is a very near and dear soulmate. And I came to see the power of that love, that unconditional love, to heal. It heals the individual, it heals the soul group, it heals all of humanity, it heals life all around this world, and it heals consciousness throughout this universe, because there are many sentient beings in many civilizations throughout all of eternity, throughout this universe. This is a much bigger party than I might have ever thought before. And this is all part of our joining that much bigger awareness and knowing of consciousness in its grandest sense, that transcends any of our words of love and our uses of romantic love or the love of parent and child, of any of the kind of love that we have here, love for all of humanity. This is the love that transcends it all, is that unconditional love that we encounter there. People who have near-death experiences, even if all they do is touch briefly, glimpse that unconditional love, it changes their life forever.
Exactly. It does change their life forever. And usually for the first year or two when they come back, they're really impacted by it. It's hard for them to get by. Eventually they come out, and if they're fortunate enough, they learn about what happened to them and may even, go to support groups of local areas where other people have had near-death experiences, or get the right counseling to help them get on track. And then once the dust settles, then once the dust settles, they will come out and tell their story, or perhaps even do something like a lecture or a video or a near-death experience report on one of the websites. And they feel reassured too, because even though they went through this experience and are having trouble reacclimating themselves, they have reassurance by the groups that they're surrounded with, knowing that others have had this experience and it's okay. But they have this yearning, this big yearning to be reunited with that experience, with that source, or that deception, I would say. And sadly, it's not easy for them.
So don't let the simplicity of that phrase lead you astray. It is infinitely powerful. It's something that we all know, because all of our souls have been there before and go back, and we cycle through again and again in our ascent. Because this is really all about love, and it's all about the relationships that we have. This is all about learning in soul school and growing.
It's not about learning. Earth is not a school. It's not about growing and learning. Growing and learning implies karma, okay? Spiritual growth or whatever the term may be. The point is they're putting it out there for you to get sucked back into the system and think that, okay, well, I need to do ABC to ascend or reach the next level. It's literally a pyramid scheme. They have the food chart. They have multi-level marketing, and they have the bottom levels is this, and then they have the mid levels and the top levels and all that stuff. It's ridiculous. It's all a big scam.
As we do. And there's nothing more complex than knowing that it's simply by following a pathway that is one of manifesting that love as best we can. Love is the coin of that realm. And the more we can serve as conduits of that love, because our very consciousness is a direct, absolute connection to the divine, infinite healing power of that all-loving source. And by serving as conduits for that,
serving as conduits for it. Serving as conduits. So basically he's saying that we're going to come back here as near-death experiencers and do its bidding. Because that's what they're doing, right? They're doing the bidding.
Power of that all-loving source. And by serving as conduits for that and allowing the love to come through us to our fellow beings, to show compassion, forgiveness, mercy, acceptance. That's all that matters. And
okay, I'm going to rewind this because I think it's important. I'll point it out.
Consciousness is a direct, absolute connection to the divine, infinite healing power.
A direct connection to the divine. Joe Schmo said, this guy is worse than a pastor. Yeah, I'm not gonna... and he's got a big footprint in the near-death experience community. Huge. I have a lot of problems, and I'm not gonna elaborate any further on him.
Of that all-loving source. And by serving as conduits for that and allowing the love to come through us to our fellow beings, to show compassion, forgiveness, mercy, acceptance. That's all that matters.
Mercy, acceptance. Oh, the world's a complete dumpster fire, and and mostly consisting of suffering and atrocities and all sorts of things. But that's all right. Let's have some empathy and compassion. You know what? It reminds me of the counterculture movement that was completely manufactured from A to Z. Okay? It's no different. It's the pacification of society and the Stockholm syndrome of society to accept the craziness that goes on here and excuse it away. Remember, Earth is the biggest case of Stockholm Syndrome you've ever seen in your life. Stockholm Syndrome on steroids.
And that's what these lessons are all about. And that's how our souls ascend, is by getting closer and closer to that perfection of that love.
Oh, so basically, that's how we ascend. We've got to get closer to the love. So since all these near-death experiencers have experienced this love and agree with it and all that, I wonder if they're going to end up coming back here. You guys want to roll the dice? Again, that's what I keep saying, guys. Do you want to roll the dice and test it out? Because remember, when you come back here, your memories are wiped. You have no recollection of who you are, where you came from, or why you are here. If anything stands out like a sore thumb, it's the fact that we have a veil of forgetfulness over us. It is absolutely the biggest thing of the Matrix Reincarnation Soul Trap. Because if you are seeing that, and then if there's so many areas to go off of, but the veil of forgetfulness is by far the biggest red flag of them all. And it should scare, again, I'm not sorry. I shouldn't say it should scare. It should just alarm you, okay? I'm not trying to be some fair channel. I'm just trying to present the truth in the best way I can and not hide behind peace, love, rainbows, love, and light, unicorns, yada, yada, yada. It's just not going to happen. Just got to tell it like it is. I wish it was different. I do.
And ascending towards that oneness with the divine.
And then moved on to this beautiful landscape where the grass was beautiful, so deeply green, as if nothing had ever touched it. There was no death, no harm. Everything was just vibrant with life. And my soul kind of hovered above this place. I began to hear messages as I was entering heaven, like love is all that matters, all that.
As I was entering heaven. And, I just want to point out that she's talking about, being in this type of environment, which is very common, flowers, rolling hills of grass and streams and absolute beauty. Heck, I would love to see it. But I'm not going to be rolling the dice to see it just because it sounds nice and give myself away to something else. And frankly, neither should you. But everyone has to make a decision.
And then moved on to this beautiful landscape where the grass was beautiful, so deeply green, as if nothing had ever touched it. There was no death, no harm. Everything was just vibrant with life. And my soul kind of hovered above this place. I began to hear messages as I was entering heaven, like love is all that matters, all that we take with us, be like a little child. These particular messages seem simple, though, and I remember honestly having a moment of like, oh God, please give me more. If I'm coming back, I need something more than a Beatles slogan of love is all that matters. Like, maybe you need to give me some formulas or some gifts or something, like this is not enough. Love is all that matters. But what I
interesting takeaway from that, right? I mean, she's kind of admitting herself, I need a little more than that. I mean, just love, throw me a freaking bone here. Austin Powers.
Be like a little child. These particular messages seem simple, though, and I remember honestly having a moment of like, oh God, please give me more. If I'm coming back, I need something more than a Beatles slogan of love is all that matters. Like, maybe you need to give me some formulas or some gifts or something, like this is not enough. Love is all that matters. But what I saw is that when I met my grandfather, he was part of the unconditional love that I'd experienced in life. And
bingo. Grandfather was part of the love during her life. It's a belief system, okay? Deceased grandfather, no longer with her, big part of her life, identified with love, and Grandpa's there.
That when I met my grandfather, he was part of the unconditional love that I'd experienced in life, and he was the only person who had transitioned. When I saw him, he gave me great peace, and I thought, well, all I have is the memories of love with him. I don't have the memories in that place of his dying form, of what he looked like when he had leukemia. I just remember his soul's desire to write stories to me, to connect with me, to be that loving grandfather, to be that figure in my life that showed me that I was important. And that was beautiful. That's all that we had in that realm, was the love that we had experienced.
Yeah, and I think it's important that let me just rewind. I want to show you. Hold on.
Of what he looked like when he had leukemia.
Now, see what he looked like when he had leukemia. That wasn't what he was like when she met him. And you know why that is? It's because most people see their loved ones in a very young, vibrant, beautiful form. So a deceased loved one that you may meet in a near-death experience is not going to look like their last few days when they maybe were battling cancer or something, some big disease, or old. It's always the vibrant version of themselves, because that's a good message, right? That's a good delivery system to manipulate you. Just gonna say it flat out.
I just remember his soul's desire to write stories to me, to connect with me, to be that loving grandfather, to be that figure in my life that showed me that I was important. And that was beautiful. That's all that we had in that realm, was the love that we had experienced. When he looked at me and he said, "Do you want to continue on?" I knew this meant go to the light of God. So I just flew. My soul just like went towards, and God looked like this bright light.
I just went towards. Consent. I just went towards. Consent. Can't be stressed enough. Consent.
I knew this meant go to the light of God. So I just flew. My soul just like went towards, and God looked like this bright light. But it was more than a light. It was intelligence. It was a magnet. It was something that changed me.
Magnet pulling her in. Again, remember we heard earlier, the light pulled me in. Magnets.
I can't describe how shocking it was. I'd never experienced love like that before, only pieces, like through my grandfather, through parents, through friends. But this was like, I call it an atomic bomb of love, because it was so massive. It just hit me. And I thought, wow, in physical form, we spend so much of our time not loving ourselves, not being happy with this circumstance, feeling anxious, we just spend so much of our time not really understanding that we're connected to the greatest love that we can imagine, and that we can all feel okay. We can all feel this bliss, that this is kind of our divine right and what we deserve, no matter how we've been treated in childhood, no matter what we've experienced.
Oh, no matter how we've been treated in childhood. Again, the excuse train, choo-choo, pulling on up. Excuse train, if you've been abused as a child, that's okay. No big deal. You should forgive in love. Unconditional love for your abuser. Even in the afterlife, because God has a plan. God has a plan. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The Archons have a plan. Or whatever you want to call them. The etheric parasites. I like to call them etheric parasites because I'm not a Gnostic. I want to make that very clear. I don't think I say that enough, just to let you guys know. I am not a Gnostic. I have looked into Gnosticism, but I'm not a Gnostic. But there's a lot of truth mixed in with lies, so gotta take what is valuable.
Feel this bliss, that this is kind of our divine right and what we deserve, no matter how we've been treated in childhood, no matter what we've experienced. Every single one of us can connect to this love.
And okay, my friends, what I'm going to do really quick is take a break. So I will be right back. See you in a moment. Alrighty. Okay, thank you for your patience, my friends. So we're going to get back into the love deception compilation. Here we go.
Can connect to this love.
And I became a light blue globe or orb of consciousness. I became this light blue ball, essentially. And I was facing a golden light. And this golden light is, people describe this love, and I use my own analogy to try to describe what it was like. And the closest thing I can come up with is all the love that ever was and all the love that ever will be for all eternity is being poured onto you in a single moment. So,
okay, I want to make something really clear and how important it is, guys, is there are some people that will tell you, oh, don't go to the white light, but go to the golden light. Don't go to the white light or the golden light, but go in between the fence. Go in between the grid. You see how this guy is talking about the golden light? The golden light's the same thing. We can say the golden light is the sun, the white light is the moon. Whatever you want to, however you want to lump it together. The point is that they're all deceptions. And it's really sick that both of these are playing out in near-death experiences, and we're so graced with the presence of being able to see this. I mean, we are lucky. I'm just being sarcastic, obviously, but the point is you don't go anywhere except within and make your own decision. You don't go towards anything or be egged on by anything or carried into anything. You have a high resolve to make sure that you are going to be doing your own thing. You do not consent. Do not consent. Sovereignty is your intention. Non-interference is your intention. Every step of the way.
I can come up with is all the love that ever was and all the love that ever will be for all eternity is being poured onto you in a single moment.
It's being poured onto you. Poured onto you. So what, engulfed, covered, engrossed with light. I mean, we've heard all sorts of terms for it. The point is this is an energy field going over him, just like all the others. We've seen the time and time again this example. Just in this video alone, we've seen probably, what, 4 or 5 examples of it? Something like that.
So it was indescribable.
Can't be described.
I knew that no matter what I do for all eternity, no matter what I've done eons ago, that this love will never change. Never, no matter what. And it was a sense of profound joy and bliss that doesn't compare to anything ever on earth that you could possibly imagine. And so growing up in strict and stringent religions, this was not what I was expecting to see. This amount of love and no judgment. No
judgment. See how the lines get blurred. Because there's lately been this, well, not lately, but there's this thing where you have some who will say, oh, there's no judgment, or that, oh, I lived through this experience, this bad thing I did, and they, kind of just let it slide, I guess, and make it sound as if, how do I put this? To make it sound as if it's really them, when in fact, yes, their belief systems are driving it. But it's very interesting that the moments of judgment are being cast down on people, or an energy field of judgment is being cast into somebody, and in turn, they are being judged point blank. But he's saying no. But we get little mixed messages, and reading between the lines with all this is really important.
And so growing up in strict and stringent religions, this was not what I was expecting to see, this amount of love and no judgment.
Growing up, here we go again. What do we see in one of the earlier cases? She admits the same thing. Again, belief-based systems. He's saying, oh, it's not exactly what I was taught, but
no judgment at all.
Absolutely beautiful sunset, and it was making a shimmering path across the water, and I flew over the ocean, over the path toward the sun. It was so glorious and so beautiful, and I felt so much love for nature.
You see, she said she went towards the sun. That would be the golden light, right, guys?
Now, I haven't told you this part, but as he said, I was an atheist. But my father had taught me, the good materialist that he was, that the sun was the source of all life. So the sun was the source of my life.
Belief system. Ding, 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 ding. You know, it's the belief system. Father taught her the sun was the force of all life. So, what does she experience? She goes through life, and then, boom, she gets dealt the golden light. Because it's the sun that gives all life.
My father had taught me, the good materialist that he was, that the sun was the source of all life. So the sun was the source of my life. And it was growing bigger and bigger. I had a thought, I can't forget this part. As I was flying, this is the first time I thought a little bit of my life back on Earth. I thought, wait a minute, people can't fly. I thought, am I dreaming? Is this real? And this is the first time my angel spoke to me ever. It said, more real than anything you've experienced. And I wasn't expecting an answer when I wondered. You know, you don't expect an answer when you wonder something. But it answered me, more real than anything you've experienced. And I believed it. I was like, you're right, it is. And so then I started thinking,
it's more real than anything I've ever experienced. It's more real. I mean, how many times do we hear this in near-death experiences? That it's more real than anything they've experienced, or more loving than anything they've experienced, or more this or more that than anything that can be compared to on Earth. But specifically, love is the big one. That's the one that people will say time and time again is just, it can't be compared, even on Earth. Birth your own children. You know, I keep repeating myself, but I'm repeating it for a reason. So you see that what's going on here and how important it is to be able to just decipher the difference. That's all.
Thinking, what's going on with the sun? It's getting bigger and bigger. Am I going to hit it? And I had no fear. I just wondered. And then I passed through like this filament of the sun into the core of the sun. And in the sun was the light.
Into the core of the sun. In the sun was the light. Belief-based system, customized to her belief system. And what does the Matrix do? It delivers it on a silver platter. And they got her.
And the light was everywhere. I could not see anything except the brilliance of the light. But the joy and the bliss and the love, everybody, we can't describe it. I can't describe it. I had a sense of like, wow, because all my life I've been starving for love. I've been starving for approval. That's why I was, trying to go to the parties and make people like me, be cool. Although I wanted to be loved. I didn't know that was what I wanted, but that's what I was starving for. And so,
well, that's an interesting statement. Let's rewind it.
All my life I've been starving for love.
All my life I've been starving for love.
Starving for approval. That's why I was,
starving for
trying
approval.
to go to the parties and make people like me, be cool. Although I wanted to be loved. I didn't know that was what I wanted, but that's what I was starving for. And so in the light, all that was fulfilled. And
all of that was fulfilled. Desires fulfilled. Belief systems fulfilled. See the intersection here and how it just plays itself out. And I want to thank Jeff Mara for this clip. Thank you.
More, a million times more. And I sometimes compare it to if you're lying on the beach in the sun and you can feel it all over your body, the warmth of it. But this was a kind of a metaphysical equivalent of just joy and happiness filling my entire being. And I began to sense that I was being held by a parent figure, like a baby. I was being held like that. And the parent was pouring in, you are so loved, you are so loved. And
I wanted to be loved. I wanted to be held.
I began to sense that I was being held by a parent figure, like a baby. I was being held like that. And the parent was pouring in, you are so loved, you are so loved. And it was not like we do this for everybody. It was specific to me. It had known me since I was a baby, and it.
How about that, guys? Remember, belief systems on full display. It was specific to me. Specific to me. Belief system driven experiences. Because remember, everything is customized to the experiencer. Because that has the maximum amount of success to getting them sucked back in and going along for the ride. Talk about boom, right in our face.
You are so loved, you are so loved. And it was not like we do this for everybody. We
don't do this for everybody.
Specific to me, it had known me since I was a baby, and it loved me in that way. And
it had known me since I was a baby. You know why it knows her since she was a baby? Because every single moment of every single day is recorded from cradle to grave. That's what this matrix does. The life review proves that. There's absolutely no doubt about this. It's proven overwhelmingly that based on the life review, every moment of every day is recorded, and then at the life review, it's thrown in your face in an effort to keep you attached and in the system.
And that I was, perfect and adorable. And I wanted to stay in that state forever.
Then blank. That's the last moment I remember of my waking consciousness. I emerged, I popped into, from there you could say, with no discernible transitional phase. I'm just all of a sudden in this other world, this other realm. And I'm actually standing, and it's like, it feels like heaven. Like what my concept of heaven would be like, meaning it was really bright, and it was all white everywhere. And the one thing that would make me say that it seemed like I was in heaven is the quality of the whole realm, the whole place I was in was just beaming with love. I felt love, and it was so intense and so penetrating that
so intense and so penetrating. Again, energy. This is an energy emitting frequency that envelops you and takes you over. We've shown countless examples of it just in this video alone, let alone other videos I've done here. But it's really, really important. Again, I know I keep saying a lot of the same things, guys, but these are the data points, the pattern recognition that you have to apply to near-death experiences in order to see this and prove it to yourself. So those of you who are on the fence, welcome. I'm happy that you're here. But it just remember, there's certain things that stand out. And please, please, please remember, rewind segments. If you hear something that seems a little off, or seems recognizable because of other near-death experiences you've heard, rewind it. Rewind it 2, 3, 4 times. Doesn't matter. Keep doing it, because what it will do in the long run is prove to you the Matrix, reincarnation, soul trap. And that's all that matters. You have to have this within you. You have to know it, have a burning inner knowing of what's going on. And in turn, it's going to be the best thing that ever happened to you, because you won't have to ever worry about coming back here again. You really do need to know this with every fiber of your being. I think it's really, really important that you know, I'm not saying live every moment of every day, but, you know, thinking of the soul trap, but you really have to, you know, you once you know it within inside you, it's this burning inner knowing. Then what you'll do is you'll be saying, okay, I'm not coming back here. I'm not coming back here. Nothing's going to mess with me. Nothing is going to touch me. I don't consent to it, because that's organic intention that's being emitted by you. That frequency is powerful. And that's the thing I'm trying to really, really push here, guys, that we are all more powerful than we've ever been led on to. We've been deceived and taken advantage of up, down, left, and right. So realize the power within you. Realize that sovereign, true spirit essence that you deserve to reclaim. That's the positive in all this, my friends. Please, please, please don't ever forget that. That's the positive. It's so, so important.
I just started crying. I sometimes I cry as I tell the story, because I get to like have a faint memory of how it felt. This is like no worldly or earthly love. This is like the love of the divine. It was so unconditional and so peaceful.
The love of the divine. You know how often you hear that too, the love of the divine? When we don't, you know, just because it's love doesn't mean it's divine and the creator, the knowing of all knowing. But we hear it a lot. We hear it a lot.
The story, because I get to like have a faint memory of how it felt. This is like no worldly or earthly love. This is like the love of the divine. It was so unconditional and so peaceful. And I'm just sitting there being like washed away in this flood of love in this other realm that I somehow just popped into out of the fucking blue.
Washed away in love. Washed away in love.
Worldly or earthly love. This is like the love of the divine. It was so unconditional and so peaceful. And I'm just sitting there being like washed away in this flood of love.
Flood of love. Again, frequency, energy emitting frequency that takes over the experiencer in the moment.
In this other realm that I somehow just popped into out of the fucking blue. And all of a sudden, before my very own eyes, I see an angel. I know, an angel? Really? Yeah, it was an angel. I shit you not, an angel. And it came over to me. And this angel looked like what I would think an angel looked like. It had wings. It had like this robe. It looked like, what is it? Non-gender. I don't know what the word is, but not really a male or a female. Just like a glorious angelic being came up to me. And it like wrapped me in its wings, and it gave me this hug. And in that moment, the love I was feeling, that I thought was the most intense love I've ever felt in my entire life, exploded times a million. I just felt like I remembered that I was from there, or from a place like that. That I am a divine fragment of love.
Yeah, it exploded, and I remembered that I was from there. Exploded. So just all of a sudden, the memory's jogged, and he remembers he's from there. With this loving, emitting energy.
I remembered that I was from there, or from a place like that I am a divine fragment of love, that is my true nature, that what I was experiencing in my life is a temporary illusion and just an experience that I chose to have. All these, like, didn't come in the form of like remembering things. I all of a sudden just knew that.
A temporary illusion. Yes, this place is a temporary illusion, but the illusion continues on into the afterlife, or when you leave your physical body, unless you proclaim your sovereignty and will not allow forces to interrupt with you.
I just knew that. I knew what I was. I knew where I was. I knew this angel was real.
I to newbies to this, I call it heaven, but that's not a good term for me. But I was in the spiritual realm. I was up on this beautiful hilltop overlooking many, many, many layers of mountains with beautiful trees all around me. And everything glowed like with a silvery, energetic undertone. Even the sky was pearly blue, which is really difficult to describe, to have a metallic blue sky, but that's kind of what it felt like. But immediately what struck me wasn't the landscape. It was the feeling of love coming through from this place that I was in, or this
love coming through from this place. Remember, the love, again, it's an energy frequency being cast down or upon you.
State that I was.
Again, how many examples do we need to throw out there to show that this is an ongoing data point and pattern that can't be ignored? It's right in our face, my friends.
Through from this place that I was in, or the state that I was in, coming through me, and this acceptance and welcoming. And it's very profound for me, because before all this happened, I was wavering back and forth for 20 years between being an agnostic and an atheist. I didn't believe really in any of this stuff. I didn't believe in a spiritual realm. I didn't believe in any kind of a higher consciousness or a deity or anything like that. I just believed material, this is all that existed. And then when we die, that was it. So when I woke up in this beautiful place with this love and acceptance just immediately around me, and I thought, oh my gosh, I looked around like this and I thought, I think I died. And I wonder if this is what heaven is like. And as soon as I thought that, then I wondered, it was an internal wondering. I thought to myself, but I don't believe in any of this. Why am I here? And I immediately got, it wasn't really a voice I heard with my ears. It was a voice I heard inside of me that said, you are my child, welcome home. You are loved beyond all measure.
All right, so in this case, she's a materialist atheist before her experience. And I'll go out on a limb here and say that, she's born here. She likely, based on her accent, probably lives in the United States and has heard of, things like heaven and hell and all these narratives that everyone hears about, okay? So she's not necessarily subscribing to anything, but I would think that the Matrix makes or has a heck of a lot of success with atheists. It would only make sense that if you have someone who doesn't have a subscription to a belief system, and then you blow them away, blow the doors off the place when they have a near-death experience, well, they're going to be totally turned over and at your beck and call. There's no need for the Matrix to worry at all that you're going to be a liability for escaping, as long as you are going along for the ride and pleasing the Matrix. You know, you're just like at the deli counter at the supermarket. You get the number, you pull it, you look at it, you're like, oh man, there's 10 people in front of me, 5 people in front of me, and then they call your number, and then they just keep going, next. I mean, atheists have got to be the easiest prey inside the Matrix.
And I lost it. I started crying because it was so welcoming. I said, I don't believe in you. How come I'm here? And again, the message was, you belong here. This is your home. And I just stood with that and sat with that for what felt like days. And eventually, a being approached me who appeared to be female, although she said that was a form that she took in order to make it easier for me to relate to her. She looked like a human-ish female. No.
She took a female form to make it easier to relate with her. It's an interesting choice of words, right? We're not going to go too deep into it, but it's interesting that the being says that. She's female. Make of it what you will. It's not like some, huge revelation, but it's something to think about.
Nothing really clearly defined, but vaguely, human. She appeared to have long hair and, had a vaguely human shape and a vaguely female shape. But she again welcomed me with love, and it was love that I felt through me. It was really odd. I could feel that love was a force coming through me, and it was a welcoming, peaceful.
I could feel that love was a force coming through me. Again, energy. This is all a energy emitting mechanism to get you on their side and not be thinking outside the box and questioning things. You go along for the ride and that's it.
Kind of thing.
It almost felt as if everything went away and then I became part of everything. I was part of that. I was part of everything out there. My son had melded into me. I had melded into what I call God, and we had literally became one. And then just all this knowledge, truth, comprehension, everything came flowing through me in a way where it was very, very intimate. It was very, very personal. I didn't see the future. I didn't see, the creation of the world. What I experienced was my life and what had happened in my life. And
very intimate, very personal. I experienced what happened in my life. Remember, it's customized to the experiencer. I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm repeating myself for a reason. Again, I'm not trying to, just be annoying. I'm trying to make it so everyone here can research this for themselves and prove it to themselves, because that's number one. Number one on this channel is helping others prove it to themselves. You don't need me. You can go out there and do this all on your own.
I was part of that. I was part of everything out there. My son had melded into me. I had melded into what I call God, and we had literally became one. And then just all this knowledge, truth, comprehension, everything came flowing through me in a way where it was very, very intimate. It was very, very personal. I didn't see the future. I didn't see, the creation of the world. What I experienced was my life and what had happened in my life. And I saw all the things in my life that were beautiful, all the things that were painful, all the things that I judged as mistakes.
That I judged as mistakes.
What had happened in my life, and I saw all the things in my life that were beautiful, all the things that were painful, all the things that I judged as mistakes. I saw things that I judged as wrong, and yet in this beautiful embrace, there was no judgment.
So there's no judgment, it's self-judgment. Self-judgment, because it's the It's the things that may be eating away, and let's, I'm going to go on a limb and say again, it's a belief system. It's something ingrained in somebody, no matter how you slice and dice it. And he is, in turn, projecting it back on himself with the assistance of an outside energy to facilitate this experience and self-judgment, the self-condemnation.
I saw that it was all unconditional love. It was as if not just, the being that held me, but the entire universe was saying, look how much we've loved you. Look how much we've supported you. Look how we've honored your life. Look how we've allowed you to go and learn and choose and grow and be. And it was absolutely unconditional love. So everything I saw was very, very loving. It was perfect. I realized that my life was perfect, even with the pain, even with the accident, everything that had happened. And the huge shift is I realized in that moment that I had actually created it. And that was interesting for me, because in my belief system, I believed, and I use that word consciously, it was a belief that God was doing this to me. That God had taken my family, that God was throwing things in my path to see how I might react, to prove me, worthy or of worth in some way, or to see what I would do. And yet in this loving space, I realized I had nothing to prove, that I was absolutely loved unconditionally. The only one that didn't know myself was me. God knew me perfectly. I just didn't know myself, and so that I had literally taken part in creating this experience, this life.
I literally took part in creating this experience.
Absolutely loved unconditionally. The only one that didn't know myself was me. God knew me perfectly. I just didn't know myself, and so that I had literally taken part in creating this experience, this life that would teach me everything I got to know to go back home, having experienced it. Now, here I was holding my son, who I loved. A father's love is unconditional, right? And he was just toddling at the time of the accident. In fact, we'd just had Easter Sunday, and he was toddling around picking up the eggs, calling them balls, and he would bring them to me and say, ball, ball, and he was so perfect to me. And yet I realized as I held him, as this toddler who toddles around and falls down and bumps his head and the snot's rolling down and all that goes with it, that the same love I felt for him was simply magnified to what I call God, and God held me in that same light. In fact, I was here slobbering and snotting and falling down, but he was saying, look at my son, he's walking. Look at my children, they're learning to walk. They're taking their steps in this life, this thing we call life, simply growing and progressing and learning and remembering who they really are, which is part of me, which is divine. And that was the most powerful part, is I realized, and it's been very difficult for me to say this, but in those arms I realized, number one, that I was perfect. That my life was perfect, that in his eyes I was absolutely perfect. And that I was also divine, that I was part of that we were truly connected, and that I was divine, and that the divinity within me I had forgotten, but it was still very evident. And therefore, if I was divine, then we all are. We're all divine. We're all perfect, and we're here placing all kinds of judgments on ourselves.
If we're all perfect, all divine, then why do we need to be here? This guy's experience is really, really heartbreaking. And we're not going to get into all the details of it today, but it's difficult. It's a difficult one. And all these people who experience these transformative near-death experiences, my heart goes out to them. It does. But, the truth is the truth, and it doesn't care about our feelings. That has to be put aside. That doesn't mean we can't have compassion and empathy for all of these people who go through this. God, specifically him. But just remember, we're out for the truth. We're not out for as much as stories and experiences may tug at our heartstrings. It's all about investigating the truth at the end of the line, or at the end of the day. So just remember that it's all about pursuit of truth, no matter where it leads you. Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it's difficult, but I'll add that that's what the Matrix wants. It wants you to get sucked into something and be on its side, regardless of who's telling the story, regardless of what relationship you're involved with or what scenario it is. It doesn't matter. If you can get sucked into something, the Matrix is going to be so happy that you did that, because it's likely got you as a continuing customer in the next incarnation. And then the conveyor belt just keeps going.
Yet the universe just champions the process of our learning.
There was absolutely no fear or apprehension from the moment I popped out of my body, going down the tunnel into the sphere and then into the light again. There was a feeling of overwhelming, unconditional love. I felt so loved by everything and everyone that I've struggled for over 50 years now trying to find the right words in the English language to explain the level and depth of love that I was consumed with. And there are none.
There are none. How many times have we heard that in this video? There are no words to describe the amount of love that was involved. I mean, again, pattern recognition, it's right in our face.
No love. I felt so loved by everything and everyone that I've struggled for over 50 years now trying to find the right words in the English language to explain the level and depth of love that I was consumed with. And there are none. Because it really is an overwhelming feeling. And it's a feeling of being loved to the extent that there is no comparison.
It's a feeling. There is no comparison. Again, energy emitting frequency that is being cast onto somebody during this experience, and in turn, their perception of what's going on is adjusted and changed per that energy being received.
It's not like, oh, it was really a great feeling of love or a lesser feeling of love. There are no adjectives to describe the unconditional love that I felt because it was all encompassing. My vibrations, my body vibrations, my soul vibrations, the NDE vibrations blended in with the unconditional love and the light, and we became one. So it
blended in and we became one. Blended in and we became one. So it's enveloping him. It's part of him because he allowed it. He consented to allow this to happen.
Soul vibrations, the NDE vibrations blended in with the unconditional love and the light, and we became one. So it was so obvious to me that I had gone back home where I came from, and I came from unconditional love. And now I can remember what it was like when I was in three-dimensional space here on Earth, not having unconditional love, but having love of various types, comparing that to the love that I felt in the light would be like if I held up a match and I lit a match, and then right next to me was the sun. And I say, this is the best love I ever had on earth compared to the whole sun. Well, there is no comparison.
No comparison. Again, how This is how powerful this thing is. I mean, I sound like a broken record, but again, pattern recognition.
They're both heat. One is a little match, and one is the sun of the universe.
This other light enveloped me. And this was a light that you...
This light enveloped me. Another boom, boom. See all the examples coming in? I mean, it's at this point it becomes undeniable that this is an energy emitting frequency that is taking over these people and twisting it and customizing it based on one's belief system. It's the overarching narrative that comes up time and time and time again. It's okay. It's as if I was standing, let's just imagine you and I are on a street corner, okay? And all of a sudden, I am just this big, huge bundle of love. And you're picking up that frequency of love. And we start going towards each other. And you become more and more enamored by the love, the hug, whatever you want to call it, and all of a sudden it just takes over your frequency. I know it's kind of a weird thing that I just said. I don't know. But I mean, I don't know. It's just, I'm trying to think how you could compare it, because again, the biggest one for me is when you hear mothers say it's even more powerful than the birth of my children. I mean, I can't think of a more powerful frequency than that. So ignore the weird street, the street corner love by FC. I don't know. Sorry.
Near-death experiences later. I didn't know anything about near-death experiences at the time. But when they started talking about the light, I started crying, because, oh my God, other people have experienced this light. Everything disappeared. It was like I had no body and no, there was a separation, there was a sense of self in it, but I felt like I was in a warm bath of love, pure, unconditional love. And it was warm, it was welcoming. All my worries, all my fears, all my stress were gone. It was pure bliss. And even though it was all light, it wasn't, I was seeing anybody or anything, I felt it was home. And I wanted to stay there forever. I said, oh my God, this is love.
I was drawn into a tunnel that, to me, the words I can describe it are almost an opalescent blue, beautiful, beautiful. And at the end of the tunnel was a pinpoint of light, and I couldn't do anything but go toward it.
I couldn't do anything but go towards it. If that's not alarming, I don't know what is. I couldn't do anything but go towards it. I'll revert back to the movie Soul by Disney Pixar. Bring this one up a lot, and if you haven't seen the movie, you have to see it. Have to see it. You see Joe, who basically has a near-death experience, okay? And he's going on this conveyor belt made of piano keys and going towards the light, but there's all these other beings that are going towards the light as well. Some of them he can communicate with, while others are just like, they're just complete drones and doing their own thing because they're enamored with the light. The light is in the distance. They're going towards the light. And in turn, you see the control mechanism for some. And then Joe's desire is to go back to Earth because he feels his life has been cut short and that he deserves better.
And so I went toward this light, and as I got to this light, it became bigger and brighter, almost like looking into the sun, but it wasn't painful to look into this light. And the light was in front of me, and then the light was around me, and then I was in the light, and then I knew I was the light. That there, as a drop of water in the ocean is not separate. The light and I were made of the same substance. And I was home. It was, bliss doesn't come close to the word, but I knew in that moment that I was forgiven for anything I thought was unforgivable. I was loved beyond all measure in a way that I'd never been loved before. And I wanted to stay there.
And I let go. And as soon as I chose to let go, that's when I was embraced by this incredible light in this tunnel that propelled me at an incredible force. It was so powerful and so magnificent, so loving. I've never ever felt this kind of love before, and it's really a challenge to put into words.
Never felt this love before. It's a challenge to put into words.
It was so powerful and so magnificent, so loving. I've never ever felt this kind of love before, and it's really a challenge to put in words to describe the magnitude of the love and the embrace that I felt in this tunnel. When you're here on Earth, people are always wondering, why are we here? What is our purpose? And you hear different people say, well, we're supposed to love each other. And that truly is the case, but it's a type of love that we humans don't really experience all that often. And I personally believe, after seeing what I saw in my near-death experience, that when we die, we don't go to hell. We kind of live in hell. And when we die, we aren't judged by others, and that I need to be more accepting and loving towards other people also.
I see, like, that's a good quality. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is the deception that comes along with it, along with the background. Got that little background image there too that is a little, it's kind of like a layer deception we're dealing with here on this one. It's interesting.
But Raymond Moody had his book out, Life After Life, and I had read that, so I thought there ought to be a tunnel of light around here somewhere. I wonder where that is. Cool. And all of a sudden, as soon as I thought it was like, whoosh, it kind of came in behind me.
As soon as I thought it came in from behind me. As soon as I thought it.
There that is. Cool. And all of a sudden, as soon as I thought it was like, whoosh, it kind of came in behind me. And the neatest thing was, I could feel it. Because the light spilled out of the opening of this tunnel. And it was the most exquisite, most gorgeous, most unbelievable, unconditional, pure love that you could ever imagine. Our brains can't imagine it because we have nothing like that here.
Our brains can't imagine it. Nothing like that here.
What we have here, we think is love, but far, far too often it involves some kind of control over what somebody does. And it's not, we get an image of it with parents and children, that they love their child no matter what. And I think that's pretty close. But for most of us, we don't get to experience that very much as adults. And this was the purest it can be. And it pulled me. In the sense it beckoned me, but it also pulled me almost magnetically.
It beckoned me. Hear that? It beckoned me. That's a big one. It's a big one. That's a truth, right? The truth bomb. Boom.
And this was the purest it can be, and it pulled me.
Pulled me.
In the sense it beckoned me, but it also pulled me almost magnetically.
Pulled me.
Because I was going back to the source. It was pulling me back to the source, back from where I came.
Because of her consent.
And I went through this tunnel And when I got to the other end of it, I was in the middle of this brilliant white light and this amazing, pure, unconditional love. And the thing that I felt the most was, I'm home.
I'm home.
Whatever worries or cares I might have still been carrying were gone. It's like, I'm home. It's as if I had been working in the mines for 200 years and I finally came home. I was home.
So I kind of stepped out of my body, and it was like all of a sudden I could be
Okay, sorry, I don't want to blast your ears out too much.
So I kind of stepped out of my body, and it was like all of a sudden I could be anywhere in his creation at one time, and I could focus on whatever I wanted to focus on. Then I went back in my body. And I went back and forth a couple times, and all of a sudden I started thinking every time I went back in where I could feel like I'm in a body, it was horrible. It was so confining. I wanted to be out being free and out in the cosmos with God.
Every time I thought about being back in a body, it was horrible. That's like a common thing with near-death experiencers. I did a video on how, a very short one when I was in the car one time, about how people don't want to come back. Overwhelmingly. I would love to know a firm percentage, but I swear it's in the 90 percentile range of people you will hear in near-death experiences say, I did not want to come back.
And where I could feel like I'm in a body, it was horrible. It was so confining. I wanted to be out being free and out in the cosmos with God. As I'm experiencing all these things, the one that really surprised me was his love. And I'd say take a dictionary and take all the bad words out, regrets, sorrow, fear, embarrassment. They're not there. There is absolutely nothing in heaven that is bad. It's 100% pure love and happiness. All the things that I did in my past, you could remember them, but they were all forgiven. It's like, God, I made you that way for a reason which was not made known to me. And I'm feeling this love, and I tell people his love was so strong, I literally felt it. It's like being in the air when it's calm. You know the air is there, but you can't feel it. But then you soak in a warm bath, that warm water, you can feel that. God's love was so strong, I literally felt it. I felt his presence. And I knew I could be anywhere, and I'm 11, I was forgiven. And I thought, this isn't a mean, vengeful God. And like I was even telling Brian, I remember the way I grew up, and they said the people cower, and they stand in the back of their church. I'm not worthy of being up front near God. Well,
I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. Again, I've heard that many times where people use that type of terminology where they don't feel like they even belong in the presence of such a powerful love. It's sad. It's really sad.
Vengeful God. Like I was even telling Brian, I remember the way I grew up, and they said the people cower, and they stand in the back of their church. I'm not worthy of being up front near God. Well, I had good, loving parents, and when I met my dad, we'd hug each other. I didn't cower up to my dad. Well, God doesn't want us to cower in front of him. He created us strictly to love. He has one need that I thought I felt.
He created us strictly to love? I mean, really, are we on the same planet? Are we on the same planet? Or, sorry, same holographic realm? I mean, it's so ridiculous that these two worlds can even cross over, because they're nothing. I mean, all we know is that both are control structures, and one is we have one that's a manipulative system, and they have one that's a super duper manipulative system. I mean, come on.
Cower up to my dad. Well, God doesn't want us to cower in front of him. He created us strictly to love. He has one need that I thought I felt. He needs to love. That's why he created all this stuff. He didn't create us so he could lord over us and dominate over us and make us feel inferior. He wants to love us.
Well, the one that controls this place absolutely is about power and control, as are the astral realms that are attached here. That's the whole ball game.
And I thought, that's not the God that I grew up knowing.
And then I saw out of the corner of my right eye, I saw a portal of light, just a circle. And I knew I wanted to be there. I didn't know how I knew that, but I knew I wanted to be there.
I didn't know how I wanted to be there, but I knew I wanted to be there. Just giving away yourself right out the gate. No offense to her, it's just the interpretation, the truth of it.
And then I saw out of the corner of my right eye, I saw a portal of light, just a circle. And I knew I wanted to be there. I didn't know how I knew that, but I knew I wanted to be there. And travel was no longer the means to get there. I simply wanted to be there, so I was there. And I entered this light through the portal. I would say that a butterfly landing on a flower would seem 1,000,000 times heavier than the way I landed into this light. It was so gentle and soft, and suddenly I was in this world of light. And the light was perfect temperature, perfect amount of light. There's no words to describe it. That's the problem with going into the near-death experience, is that words become inadequate, and the only way you can convey them is at an energy level. And as I said to someone here earlier, anybody who's had a near-death experience knows that you're always having a conversation underneath these words. There's a conversation beneath the conversation. It's a conversation of pure energy or pure love and light. So I entered into this light that I cannot describe, and I like to use the image of the tractor beam in Star Trek because most people can relate to that. There was this tractor beam to my heart from a source that I can name as God only because that's a name that is available to me, but I don't like to use it because everybody has an image of what that means. So I refer to it often as source, but it was a being. It was a being that was the center of all things, and that being was unlimited love.
It was a being of center of all things. Again, outgoing frequency that's being received. Something outside yourself is being received, and in turn, you're receiving that frequency like a near-death experiencer, and everything unfolds from there. Whether it be love, or the life review, or going through the tunnel to get to the light, and everything's amazing. You feel like you're at home, yada, yada, yada.
And I was greeted with such love and acceptance and warmth, unconditionally, as if I was the center of the universe myself. And I was locked into that love for much too short a time. And at some point, I realized that this love, this light, this being was at the center, but that it was equally bright in the periphery, and the periphery went on forever. And I began to wonder, how is that possible that there could be a center and a periphery that are equally as bright?
All of a sudden, I didn't go through a tunnel, I didn't have an out-of-body experience, although I think that's what was going on to a certain degree, I'm not really sure. But all of a sudden, I am in a different dimension, and my consciousness is seeing this golden light, white in the center, just unbelievably beautiful. And golden light was coming off in streams in all directions, just like pinnacles, icicle type points to them, and recreating themselves, and it was just pulsating. And I knew I was in the presence of God. And the gold was so beautiful. It makes the finest gold you've ever seen on earth look like a 1,000-year-old nasty rusted nail. It does not compare to the gold here. It is just a completely different quality. I don't even know how to explain it. That's the problem. That's the problem. There are no human words to explain to you what it's like. But I'm going to do my best.
There are no human words.
I was being communicated to, not with words, but with waves of emotional, energetic energy.
Waves of emotional, energetic energy. Something outside himself is transferring this energy, and he is taking it in.
But I'm going to do my best. I was being communicated to, not with words, but with waves of emotional, energetic energy that had, I sensed the power. First of all, the love was unconditional. I cannot stress that enough. And I say that, and I don't mean to offend anyone who has a deep belief in the Christian religion, but that didn't, what I experienced, that love that I experienced, did not fit with the story I've been told of how Christianity works. And because I knew the love was unconditional, flat out unconditional. And I wish I could go around and touch people and just have them experience that degree of love like I did, so they knew what I'm talking about. Because sometimes people get offended when I tell them that. That is not my intent to offend anyone or begrudge anybody's religion, because that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to express to you what I experienced. And so the love felt like I was the last newborn child to be born that's ever lived or ever will live again in the entire history of the universe, being hugged, loved, cradled, and cherished by every mother that had ever lived before that. Imagine what that must be like. You mothers in here know what that felt like when you held your first baby for the first time. Imagine on the scale I just told you. And then realize that is nowhere near good enough to explain what happened. It was trillions and trillions of times infinitely more special than that. And I had no idea that I was that loved. And I know it's the same for each and every one of you. That's the unconditional love that was flooding through me. And if a light, I know this, that God was a being of light, pure consciousness. I don't know how to explain it all. I was just there trying to understand the power of everything that was going on. But if a being of light could do backflips with extreme joy and saying, wahoo, yes, he's home, let's have a party, that God was thrilled to see me again. Absolutely mind-bogglingly thrilled that I was there again. And it's going to be the same way for you when you go home.
Absolutely thrilled, mind-bogglingly thrilled for him to be there. If that isn't a nice little fishing lure, I don't know what is.
Speaking of home, I knew I was home. There was this energetic information of feeling like I was home. Like I had never had anywhere here or ever will. I was my source of origin, my point of creation. I knew I was in the presence of my Creator. I knew I am far more special than I had no idea that, and we're all that way. It's the same for everybody. And some people don't like hearing this, but I think everybody gets in. There was no sense of gender when I was in the light. It was just this exquisitely beautiful being of light with profound unconditional love. And the power of that love was absolutely immense. And my best analogy for that is, and I said 3 words. I remember saying, because I was just in dumbfounded, flabbergasted awe, just extreme awe. Oh my goodness. I mean, I was like, I didn't know what else, it just came out, you know. It was just a reaction to what I was seeing of just pure awe. And the instant the word goodness came out of my mind, or mouth, or what, I don't know, I suddenly knew goodness was a tangible, real thing, its own energy wave of frequency, and it was powerful too. But yet love was the most powerful. And then I understood all of a sudden there was this hierarchical aspect going with love being by far the most powerful thing that has ever existed, hey, or ever will exist. It's infinitely powerful. And then all of a sudden, after I said goodness, I experienced that, what that's like, and then I had joy, bliss, ecstasy, any kind of positive emotional experience you can think of to the extreme.
To the extreme. Positive experiences to the extreme. Again, this is the same thing. It's the energy emitting mechanisms that keep someone cloaked in the experience and under the illusion that they should be looking outside themselves and not looking within.
To the point I thought I was just going to explode. I was just overwhelmed with wham, 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 joy, bliss, ecstasy. Oh, wow. It was just one after the other. You're precious. The peace that I experienced on the other side is profound peace. I know what holiness feels like. I felt that. That's not just a word. It's a real experience that you will have again when you go home.
But it was just complete blackness all around me, and the darkness was, people say it's a dark NDE, and they're talking about the negative NDEs or the frightening NDEs or whatever label you want to put on it. This was the most beautiful experience in my entire existence that I am aware of. I don't know if I had any before my life, but it was in darkness. And it's not a judgment or anything else, it's just, that's what it was. It was without form and void. It was completely lacking in anything aside from the darkness, myself, and infinite love. I was spinning, without moving. I was feeling like I had no point of reference. And I had no body. There was no mention of, there was no meaning to scale. There was no meaning to color or shape, because there was no color or shape. It was just infinite blackness. And it was disturbing at first, but the thing that balanced it was the love.
Okay, that's common too. I mean, some people go to the void or the blackness, darkness, however they're going to term it. We'll just say the void. And some people find amazing peace inside of it and are fine and have a good experience. And then there's this other group of people who start to, I think, overthink, overmanifest, whatever you want to call it. Perhaps are so used to the addiction of sensory surroundings like we are when we're down here. You know, we have all this stuff going on. We're used to different colors, different lighting, daytime, nighttime cycles. And, I'll even go a step further and say that, we're taught as children to fear the dark. So if, you have that conditioning on top of whatever personal thing you have brewing inside of you that may not like a quiet setting like the void, then it could turn into a negative experience. It all depends on your psychological makeup and how it carries over into that experience when you have it. Now, the other thing is, with the void experiences is sometimes there'll be this little pinprick of light far in the distance or just a little bit. And you could be having a bad experience And then all of a sudden, if you're concentrating on that, things start to improve. They start to feel better. Or there could even be something like an object, but it's a glowing object. Small object, could be anything. Doesn't matter what it is. Point is it's a comforting mechanism that's put in place to help you. And again, based on your psychological makeup and what you carry over with your belief systems will dictate how things play out for you.
Love that I felt in that moment of eternity was so perfect, and the love was completely unconditional, and it was more than I could possibly take in, but yet I took it in, and it was directed at me, and it was coming from the other awareness that was there. The best I can describe what I wasn't even a mind. I was a point of awareness. A mind has thoughts. A mind has the manifestations of the ego. The mind has so many things that we're so familiar with here, but what I was my raw essence there. It was beyond what we assume is our mind even. But I was still myself. I still had my history. I still had my personality. And it was, when you, not only did I not have a body, my own identity was stripped from me at that point. I still had my personality, and I still had
my own identity was stripped from me. If the sirens aren't going off now, then they're never going to go off, and you might as well unsubscribe and leave, because that says it all. His own identity was stripped from him. Let's hear that again.
My personality, and it was, when you, not only did I not have a body, my own identity was stripped from me at that point. I still had my personality, and I still had my history, but what I thought I wasn't there. It wasn't along for the ride, but yet there I was. It was, again, very disorienting. The space itself was disorienting.
Very disoriented. So he's, fogged up. He's lost part of himself. He's got some there, but he's admitting he's fogged up. He's got some issues.
And I still have my history, but what I thought I wasn't there. It wasn't along for the ride, but yet there I was. It was, again, very disorienting. The space itself was disorienting, and the environment was disorienting.
The space and environment were disorienting. Boy, I wonder why. Wouldn't happen to be the Matrix reincarnation soul trap mechanism, would it? No offense to this guy. I'm just being sarcastic. You guys know that.
But that love was what held through, because it was constant, and it was coming from all directions, and it was unconditional.
The love is what got him through the day, or through the experience. It was unconditional love. So, we'll strip you of this, make you feel less, and in turn, we provide love. And I want to thank AA for the $5 super chat. That was very kind of you. Thank you so much again for your donation. Thank you. It's very kind of you. You donate regularly, and I really appreciate your kind and generous support. And again, no one is under any obligation to donate anything. It's very much appreciated, but never expected. I know we live in rough times. Thank you, AA. Thank you.
But I just came to in that darkness, and I was surrounded by this unconditional love. And I was aware that the darkness, not really the darkness, but I'll get to that later, was aware of me as well. I wasn't alone. The darkness felt like it was cradling me, like a mother would hold her child. And the mother doesn't look at her child, the perfect mother doesn't look at her child and see flaws. She just radiates it with love, and that's what I felt there. It was a very maternal aspect of God, if you will.
It was a very maternal aspect of God. Although, when we hear specifically women, obviously, talk about near-death experiences, they will talk about how the love bomb was like 100, 1,000, however many times more powerful than the birth of their own child. You know, the moment of all moments in a woman's life. And somehow it doesn't compare to the love bomb mechanism with the light. Little suspicious.
And started to lift me upwards very, very quickly. And the sensation was so fast. I mean, much faster than traveling in a car. It was, things were just blurring past me so quickly, and I was feeling myself being lifted at an incredible rate. And this went on for what felt like a minute or two. And then finally, this being stopped, and I found myself floating in this cloud-like environment with very dim sort of lighting. And I realized there was probably about 5 or 6 angelic beings just standing around me. And I was a little bit overwhelmed and just lay there sort of gasping, not physically, of course, but just totally overwhelmed by the situation, and started to just feel this sensation within me, which was one of extreme love, is the only way I can describe it. It was as if, I don't know if you remember early childhood times with your mother and being, you know, totally blissed out by being held by your mother and loved. It was a sensation similar to that, but amplified enormously.
So more powerful than a mother's love. Amplified.
I don't know if you remember early childhood times with your mother and being, you know, totally blissed out by being held by your mother and loved. It was a sensation similar to that, but amplified enormously. It was 100 times greater than that. I just felt this ultimate sense of belonging, this ultimate sense of being at home, this ultimate sense of being loved. And it was as if my chest was exploding with this love. I just, as if I couldn't contain it. It was so big and so beautiful. So I was just lying there basking in this love. The point of human life, what I have come back with is something I already sort of knew intellectually, was that I think the highest point of human existence is love, right? That thing.
Highest point of existence is love of a human. It's the best part of humanity. It's the best trait that our species has. But the fact that it carries over to the to the so-called afterlife, which I would say is you've never been more disconnected than you are when you're here on Earth, compared to when you're in your organic energy body, your real true spirit essence. It's night and day. But the problem is you shouldn't have forces messing with you and trying to take away your sovereignty and keep you trapped within this matrix system. That's where the line kind of has to be drawn.
We call love. Now, it's interesting. In English, there's one word, love. In other languages, there's multiple words for love. In the Greek, the word agape, it's self-sacrificial love. Love where you are willing to help other people and look after them and support them and do whatever you can for them. That sort of love. Not erotic love, not that. It's a different sort of love. It's love for people, and just a desire to help them and a desire to make them do better and be uplifted. You know, that sort of love, I think, is the high point, which is exactly what Jesus said when he was here, which is, you know, love one another. Love one another. That was his great commandment. And to me, that is the whole point of human existence. If we do love each other and help each other and support each other, then we are fulfilling what we are here to do. And I believe somehow that is what God, the universe, is trying to teach us in this lifetime. is, head towards love, head away from hatred.
God's trying to teach us head towards love. And a lot of times what we'll hear from near-death experiences is unconditional love. Unconditional love. Don't judge anyone who's done you wrong. No. If you were, got your ass whooped every day as a kid and decided to disown the family member that might have done that and move on. No. You forgive them. Unconditional love. You got it? How dare you hold any ill will feelings? One of the biggest ones I like to bring up all the time is the person. I'm sorry, it was a woman who was abused. This is a deathbed vision and visitation case, okay? And it's an important one because there's other ones like this, but this is a prime case where she had basically been abused her whole childhood, and she said point blank that she could not wait until she turned 18 to be able to move out and control her own life, because she felt that every day she was faced with threats and being abused. And so that's exactly what she did. When she turned 18, she said, I'm out of here. She moved the very day she turned 18 and got her own place, worked hard in life, lived till I think, if I remember, like mid-70s, something like that. And guess who appears on her deathbed? A few days before she died, she starts to get deathbed visions. And her father shows up, and it's this whole little manipulation game going on about, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that, I hope you can forgive me, blah, 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 blah. Now, mind you, she has not seen her father since she was fucking 18 years old. 18. She's in her mid-70s. The father's long dead. And the father comes and says, oh, will you forgive me? You kidding me? The whole thing unrolls, and she falls for it. And she talks to the nurse at the time about how distraught she is about this visit. But again, it's like 3 or 4 days before she dies, she gets the first vision, okay? I think it was through a premonition type dream that, we need to patch things up. I need to apologize, yada, yada, yada. And then she tells the nurse, and then leading into her death, as the days go by, then she gets the deathbed visitation. Papa's at the end of the bed, still begging for forgiveness. Eventually, everything unfolds the way the Matrix would want. The father is forgiven, and she is basically talking to the nurse about going with the father to the light. How sick is that? So she goes basically 50 plus years with not even having a thought about her father, who abused her for 18 years straight. Goes 50 years, is on her 50 plus years, is on her deathbed, and then all of a sudden, through this manipulative process, this love bomb energy, this you have to forgive. People are susceptible on their deathbeds because they don't know what the hell is going to happen. Oh, maybe you have to forgive. Maybe I have to do this. She's dealing with all these different weird energies and being manipulated every step of the way. And she ends up forgiving him. The father did not deserve the forgiving. Okay? The father did not deserve it. And this ties in again to the soul groups. And if you look at my 2 series on Michael Newton's Destiny of Souls and Journey of Souls, you should actually watch Journey of Souls first and then Destiny of Souls second to see the progression. You'll see how this type of bullshit with our soul groups links us in, sucks us in, keeps us attached, and all this bullshit unfolds as a result of it. All right, that's my rant. Thank you.
Anger, violence, all those sorts of things. Head towards love, practice love, live love, make love a part of your being. And if you do that, you're well on the way. I mean, there's further steps than that, but that is the one basic, most important thing.
Okay. Ignore that last screen, whatever the heck that last one said. Okay, so that's a compilation combined with a bunch of different near-death experiences discussing love, the love deception. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's show and that you got something from it. I'm going to swing into the chat for a few minutes. This one went really long. Yeah, we're at, what, 2 hours and 45 minutes, something like that. So, yeah, feel free to pop up any questions. I do have a poll up there, guys. So if you haven't put your vote inside the poll, I'd appreciate it, or casted your vote in the poll. That would be great. So far, we have 38 votes, and 68% say, yes, I know the Matrix reincarnation soul trap is happening with every fiber of my being. And then 32% say, not sure, but I'm open to it. That's good. That's good. That's great. And to the 32% out there, hang in there, my friends. Hang in there. I understand, my delivery may not be the best. My rants may not be the best, or, up your alley. But this is all stuff you can prove to yourself. So if you listen to this channel even just a little bit, you'll get to the point where you can go and investigate these things on your own. And that's really the most important part, is that you prove it to yourself. Because if you don't know it with every fiber of your being, I think it's an issue. And I'm not trying to scare anyone or cast fear in nothing like that. I'm trying to empower everyone here who listens and know that they can do this research on their own, prove it to themselves, and feel comfortable with a strong inner knowing of what is going on, what this realm is all about, what the astral realms are all about, and how it links in with this matrix and how insane it all is. What else do I want to say? Please make sure, if you're not already, well, not make sure, but it's up to you. I have 2 YouTube backup channels you can subscribe to, just in case something were to happen here, which it may. I hope it doesn't. There's already some weird stuff going on. So if you have not subscribed to the 2 backup channels, and hit the bell for all notifications, I will not bother you on those channels unless something happens here. At least that's my plan for now. I may add different content down the road, but they've been sitting there for a while now. So I also have ODYSEE. I may be doing an interview with another content creator on ODYSEE on Wednesday. I'm still trying to work on a definite date and time, but I will also put out a video here letting you guys know if we do that, have that discussion / interview. I also have Simon coming on the show, Simulacra, who some of you have seen in the chat. He's going to be part of the first episode of My Awakening series. And I want to also put this out there for anyone who is interested. If you would like to come on and tell your story about how you got to the point you are today in your spiritual evolution, your truth, whatever got you on the path, I would love to talk to you. And if you're interested in coming onto the show, I'd love to set something up. So feel free to email me, foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. That's foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. No channel in that. And we can talk one-on-one privately and and see, how you feel about things and about your story. And then we could set up a time and a date to have you on and share with everybody. I think it would be really cool to have some of the people in the chat and the community here come on and share their story about how they got to where they are today. It's really fascinating, the stories I do hear. Some of them, are okay to share, and then some people like to keep things private. I understand completely. And we don't have to do a video feed, so if you just prefer to talk on an audio feed, that's fine too, or audio and video. I'm open to anything and everything. So just wanted to put that out there in case any of you are interested in possibly coming on and sharing your story. Let's see what else I have. Yeah, the 2 YouTube backup channels. I have the ODYSEE channel, which the invite link is. Everything is in the description tab. I have Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, all those things which I barely use. But they're there as a way for us to stay in touch should anything happen to the channel. So if you want to subscribe or sign up for any of those things, I'm over there too. But I don't use them that much, but they're just there for the heck of it. So what else is there? The website is still in its early phases, and I'm hoping to have that out by the beginning of next year sometime. And my goal would be to set up a forum and a chat room or chat rooms that we can go to and not have to rely on stupid Discord, because Discord sucks. And where we could, not worry about having to self-censor on everything. So if you would like to join over there, that would be, you can send me an email if you want to get on the mailing list for developments on the website. Also, just send me an email like before, foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. Subject, just put email list. That's all. Or mailing list, email list, whatever it may be. Also, the Soul Watch Party, I'm hoping to get that done before the end of the year. So I know that's been dragging on a bit, but I've had a lot of other things come up that are more important. We'll do a Soul Watch Party, and you definitely will have to email me for that one. So again, same email address. Just put in the subject for that, Soul Watch Party. And to those who have emailed me recently, just give me a little while to get back to you. I know I'm backed up a little bit, so I want to just let you know you're not forgotten. It's just taking me a little while to get back to everyone. I also want to welcome Dave Larson, who joined the Last Timers Club, which is the channel's membership program. So if anyone's interested in joining that, feel free to take a look. That's in the pinned comment in the chat section as well as in the description tab. So Dave, thank you for joining. Welcome. I want to also say hello to some of the other Last Timers Club members. AA, who's in the chat. I saw earlier Vince was here. And want to say hello to Lindley and anyone else out there who's in the chat who I may have missed. So let's get to the chat. We'll have a little talk for, let's see. We'll talk for about, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe longer. Every time I say 10, 15 minutes, we talk for like 45 minutes, an hour. So, but I am a little bit tired, so excuse me. So let's see what's going on here. If you guys have any questions or comments as it pertains to tonight's compilation and commentary, feel free to drop them in. Let's see what we got here. Goober Bear, good to see you. God was bored, good to see you. Igor, good evening. Solomon, nice to see you, brother. Infinite Corridors, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Joe M, hope you're doing well. Abraxas, good to see you. Joe Schmo, Addy. Let's see what we got here. Igor says, in the end of the day, it's clear that people just want to be accepted and respectfully interconnected with love and appreciation, but find themselves misguided. Sadly, yes. And I think, the whole mechanisms that unfold here from cradle to grave are a huge part of sending people off towards, being more divided. That's the problem. I think love is the best trait humanity has. Love, compassion, empathy, all that stuff are very, very noble and respectable qualities of the human species. And unfortunately, they are toyed with by a parasitic force that wants to mess with us. Ugh, just thinking about it. Taking a look here. Hattie, the Moroccan king's cousin. Time to expose the hidden truth. That's right. Put it all out there, right, guys? No more messing around. Joe Schmo says, never forgive, never forget. I mean, it's okay to forgive depending on the violation against you or against others, and seeking forgiveness for things you have done wrong to others. But when we're talking about the story I told earlier about the woman who basically didn't deal with her father for over 50 years because of all the abuse she endured up until the age of 18, when she could finally liberate herself and get her own place. That's a whole nother beast entirely. Solomon says, me and this girl have the same mentality. The Archons are going to have to use something different to manipulate me because family isn't going to work. They can do all sorts of things. It's all about, I think one of the most important analysis we can do on ourselves is, what are the things that we resonate the most with? What are the things that we enjoy the most of this place? And adjust accordingly. Not take them out of your life necessarily, but be aware of how they can be used against you. And when you're, let's say you get, diagnosed with something that's terminal, or you're not gonna last much longer, then you go about disconnecting that stuff at that time or leading into that, so in order to protect yourself, because that's really, really important that you and us protect ourselves from those trappings, those things that are gonna try to lure us in. It could be anything. It could be, love of your pet, your dog, your cat, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, nature, the sky, the clouds, the stars, the moon, which is hopefully no one's, all obsessed with the moon, because that's the last thing you want to be big with. But okay. Goober Bear, good to see you, brother. Soul groups promote the familiar in a time of confusion in order to reassure that everything is all right. I love that. That is a great one, bro. That is a really good one. Soul groups promote the familiar in a time of confusion in order to reassure that everything is all right. Yep. Yeah, I like to call that time period the sweet spot, where the entities come in and take advantage of us in any way they can. Yeah, that is a Really, really good. I like that one, bro. Hector says, all love is pleasure. They throw plenty of pleasure at us at death in order to hook us in their manipulation. We are unable to create our own love or pleasure with no outer influence. Yep. All love is pleasure. They throw plenty of pleasure at us at death in order to hook us in their manipulation. We are able to create our own love or pleasure with no outer influence. Yeah, it's all about going within, right? As far as everything around us, right? Hector is, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but everything about this place is, like we're sensory addicts. We need things going on. This doesn't even just apply to things like the screen, obviously, but just sensory familiarities like music and a beautiful blue sky or the crescent moon or a sunset or a sunrise or the waves at a beach, the sand, the forest, sitting on a hammock, laying back on a hammock. I mean, you name it. There are so many different things that we can zone in on and love and enjoy and get a little stuck in the process. So yeah, it's not just the love part, but yeah, it's a pleasure. It's an addiction to sensory perception, and then you link in the whole soul group thing with it, and good lord, it's off to the races we go. Goober says, seriously, get a crosscut saw. Go build shit secretly in the woods. That's what I do. I like that. I like that, bro. Fling Hammer says, I love building things in the woods. God Was Bored says, Goober, I love that idea. Not sure I could pull it off alone, though. Well, you could always make, smaller things. Doesn't have to be anything massive. Build a fire pit. A brick stove. Some things like that. Get creative. Doesn't have to be like a full-on, like log cabin or big structure. Can be anything. Goober Bear says, just like when we were kids, but for grown-ups needs now, like preservation of sanity. Yeah, preservation of sanity is, ooh, that's a tough one here because this place is a nut house, but it is what it is. Not much we can do. Just go, try and keep ourselves as centered as possible and go about our day-to-day. Doing the things we enjoy to make each day as good as possible. Goober says, just learn how to cut down a tree without getting killed. Igor says, or Solomon, Forever Conscious, sounds good. If I had a better technology, I would talk to you directly on audio feed. With that said, I want to email you to take something off my chest about bad people in hell. Please do. I'm sorry I'm a little backed up on the emails, Solomon. I'll definitely make a point to get back to you this week, I promise. I'm just been overloaded with everything and trying to find as much time as I can to have the personal life and then the online interactions too. Scotty Warp Speed says, they make it sound real good. Yeah, they do. They do. Joe M, hello. Good to see you. Goober Bar. Whoa. It's because I read your emoji bar. Goober Bear says, after all this time, I just found the emoji bar. Well, congratulations, bro. Welcome to the world of emojis on YouTube. Let's see here. How long have we been going? Yeah, we've been going a long time. All right, I'll take the last couple comments and then I gotta head out, guys. Just again, so you know, I'll be doing a stream on Odyssey, hopefully this week. So it's not going to be on here at all. It'll never see the light of day on this platform. So if you want to come join me over there, feel free to check the description for the invite link to Odyssey. By using it, it helps promote the channel over on Odyssey's platform and also gives you some free crypto. It doesn't cost anything. So if you'd like to join in on that later this week, feel free to check the description. Let's see. Solomon says, Forever Conscious, I have a question. Nice to see you too. Could I ask a question via email? How I cannot conform to bad people not having a specific place to suffer their compunds. Sure, send anything over, bro. Joe Schmo says, I'm not one to hold grudges, but every situation is different, and forgiveness is dangerous because it means you cancel their debt. Yeah, I mean, every situation is different. So you have to kind of figure out what is deemed forgivable and unforgivable within your terms of morality. I mean, and that could be huge swings depending on who you are as a person, an individual. But, even sometimes you go through the whole forgiveness process and you still keep getting, punched in the face. So, but if you can have a heart-to-heart conversation with someone that hurt you and you feel that emotional transference between you two, then it's a good thing, but if you feel it's not an authentic, like you forgive and they forgive and ask for, forgiveness. Kind of tripping over my words there, but you get what I'm saying. It's all about being able to find an equal medium with someone that you feel is authentic and means what they say for having hurt you, or vice versa if you hurt them. Flinghammer says, soul is of the matrix only. Spirit can reside outside. Absolutely. The soul is a matrix construct. It's two different things. The soul is not, it's not our friend. Let's put it that way. I don't think it can. I think because consent plays such a big role in our overall existence within spirit, the soul only can go so far. It doesn't mean it won't mess with you and won't take advantage of a situation and maybe guide you or suggest you go down a certain path that might not be beneficial to you. But the spirit is the true you. That's the real you. The soul is something that is attached to you most likely at the beginning of each lifetime, possibly even carrying over lifetime after lifetime, depending on you. But I think, in my opinion, there's a new soul that is implemented into you with each incarnation. But the fine details don't matter. The point is the soul is a matrix governor and construct to keep you in line. The spirit is the real you. That's your everlasting you that can never be fully shut off. It can be minimized, and the valve can't be all the way released, so to say, but it can never be shut off completely. So that's why when we think about things like transhumanism and where things are headed, even though it looks really ugly where this is all headed for the future of humanity, they'll never be able to shut off the soul completely. But the problem is the consent factor. It's like we're all, just think about how limited we are inside the human body, let alone the human body with attachments where there is even more control. I mean, good Lord, it's a horror to even think about. And people like, la, 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 no big deal. Get out of here with that. If you've enjoyed the show, brothers and sisters, please consider hitting the like button so we can get this video into more people's feeds, or maybe even a channel recommendation into more people's feeds. I don't know if it works, but if you've enjoyed the content, I'd appreciate it. And also maybe even consider sharing it amongst other people. And I also want to put out, like I do every show, that everyone here should try and do their part. If they know the Matrix Reincarnation Soul Trap is happening, I think it's really important to spread the word. You can do it by making your own YouTube video, your blog post, a social media post, anything. You know, it doesn't even matter what it, a Reddit post or anything and everything. Just, throw a couple things out there to help others be aware, because you never know who you're going to impact and help. I was talking about it in the Discord the other day with a couple people how there was, a group of more like New Age or everything's love and night, rainbows and unicorns, and I was talking about how, I was kind of beating a dead horse, where I'm not expecting much as far as results go, and maybe having them see the soul trap. But even if I'm exerting 95, 98% of my energy with people who may not be receptive or are vehemently against the soul trap, because everything's love, light, rainbows, and unicorns. Remember, everything's great, no matter what. Everything about this existence in this realm is incredible. So, breaking through that barrier, just like you would break through any other religion, because the New Age, love, light, rainbows, and unicorns, is a religion, just like any other religion. So when you try to pierce through that, you're going to get pushback. That's just the way it is. And I was saying how 95 to 98%, whatever the heck it was, that are going to be like, no. But that 5 to 2% of people who are receptive and are willing to at least hear some alternative thinking on this, those are worth it. That 2 to 5% makes it worth it. So, also pick your battles as best you can. If you know people who are into philosophy and it's really good to come at somebody who already has a belief in knowing of reincarnation, because that's the first step, right, guys? I mean, if you don't have the inner knowing and have investigated reincarnation and how it's just obvious that it's happening, then you're really not you're kind of just, you're going in blind like crazy, and you got a lot of legwork to do in order to win somebody over. So I find it better to talk to people who already know reincarnation is happening, and they've done their homework, and they know it, they believe it, and you work from there. So yeah, so maybe consider doing your own videos, your own podcast, or blog post, Facebook post, Twitter post, whatever it may be, and just talk about the things you have found in your journey and decoding the Matrix Reincarnation Soul Trap. And if you want, feel free to share my content as well. The more people that find out, or even just get a little link once in a while or a couple paragraphs, the better. Because that's how we can truly help people. There isn't much we can do in this realm to help people. But that is one of the ways that we can sit back and say, oh, it's a good feeling to be able to help others come across and see this reincarnation soul trap. It's, I don't know. So, Solomon says, FC, can you read something out loud for humor's sake? Sure. What do you got for me? Joyce, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Joyce says, my Discord is screwed up. It got the wrong email and won't allow me to correct it. Maybe just try signing up for a new email. I mean, yeah, sign up for a new email. And if you leave a comment afterwards, I'll leave a link for you. Or you can email me too, foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. Actually, anyone who wants a Discord link, just email me. That's the best way to, go about it. Infinite Corridor says, all right, take care, everybody. Thanks for all the help and advice. See you here another time. Take care. Yeah, I've only got about maybe, I've been going a while. I'll stick around another minute or two and see if Solomon's got anything that wants to share something funny with us. PKOSB, good to see you. Are there any challenges that you'd like to call out, FC? I think, channel-wise, I would say Dan at Overwatch Project is one. I'd also like to recommend everyone check out Wayne Bush's website, trickedbythelight.com. He doesn't have a YouTube channel, but check out trickedbythelight.com. Absolutely incredible information, and I am going to try and get Wayne on this show. I think we'll try and get something going, and he's a wealth of information, and he and Dan are the two I trust the most as far as soul trap researchers go, because a lot of them out there are just totally off their rocker and just make up shit. I mean, that's the problem I have. It's I would love to recommend more channels that I think are actually doing real thorough research, but Dan and Wayne are the two. I mean, and I can't recommend them highly enough. So check them out if you haven't already, and you'll be amazed at what you find. All right, my friends, I think I got to wrap it up. Much love and blessings to you all. Thank you again, Dave Larson, for joining the Last Timers Club. And AA, thank you for your very generous and kind donation or super chat today. Thank you. And I will see you all again very soon. I may have again the Wednesday night sometime on ODYSEE. And then I have Simon coming on Friday evening, I think at 5 p.m. Eastern time, for the My Awakening series premiere, I guess you could call it. So, and then there'll be something either on Saturday or Sunday, I don't know. So there's a few things coming up. Much love. Take care of yourself out there. Be safe. And remember, the Last Timers, we're all good. We're not going to go through this anymore.